Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Today we will share about determination of Kiblah and I will introduce our presenters for this topic. First, Najiha, Nur Fatin Murshida, Nur Izzati, Al Hakim, Siti Rabiatul Dina, Sofwan, Muhammad Al Fadini and Said Muhammad Daniel. Let's move further. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Najiha binti Abdul Rahim and I will present about introduction of Kiblah. The Kiblah is the direction towards the Kaabah in the sacred mosque in Mecca, which is used by Muslims in various religious contexts, particularly the direction of prayer for the Salah. The direction faced during prayer is the direction of where the Kaabah is, relative to the person praying. Apart from praying, Muslims generally consider facing the Qibla while reciting the Quran to be a part of good etiquette. The Qibla is also the direction for entering the Ihram, the direction to which animals are turned during Dabihah, which is Islamic slaughter, the recommended direction to make dua, and the direction to which the deceased are aligned when buried. The Qibla may be observed facing the Kaabah accurately or facing in the general direction. Do you wonder what is Kaabah? The Kaabah, also spelled Kaabah or Kaabah, sometimes referred to as Al-Kaabah Al-Musharrafah, is a building at the center of Islam's most important mosque, the Masjid al-Haram in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. It is the most sacred site in Islam. In Islam, the Kaabah is believed to be a sacred site built by the prophets Ibrahim and Ismail when he returned to the valley of Mecca several years after leaving his wife Hajar and Ismail there upon Allah's command. Circling the Kaabah 7 times counterclockwise, known as Tawaf. Do you know what is Tawaf? Tawaf is an obligatory rite for the completion of the Hajj and Umrah pilgrimages.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Al Hakim bin Kiblah and I will talk about the determination of Kiblah according to the Quran. Historically, Muslims were facing Masjid al-Aqsa in Jerusalem. In some narrations said, the Prophet intentionally does Salah by placing Masjid al-Haram in between where he would face Masjid al-Aqsa. A couple of years later, when the big Muslim pilgrimage or Hijrah happened to Medina, Muslims were still facing Masjid al-Aqsa. This led to the sarcastic taunting and mocking from the Jews in Medina. They claim that Islam is a false religion and is only copying the Jews. Since Jews claim Masjid al-Aqsa as the sacred place, these incidents and the Prophet's fondness towards Masjid al-Haram led to him looking to the sky hoping for a solution. Finally, Allah has revealed to the Prophet the verse in Surah Al-Baqarah 144 that says, "We have certainly seen the turning of your face, O Muhammad, towards the heaven, and we will surely turn you to a Qiblah with which you will be pleased. So turn your face towards Masjid al-Haram, and wherever you are, turn your faces toward it in prayer. Indeed, those who have been given the scripture well know if that is the truth from their Lord, and Allah is not unaware of what they do." Ever since this verse has been revealed, Muslims has changed their Qiblah towards Masjid al-Haram.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Al Fadini bin Muhammad Azmi. and I will explain the determination of Kiblah according to As-Sunnah. There is two hadiths, and for the first one is it is explained that Kaabah is the Kiblah for people who perform prayers in the Masjidil Haram, and the Masjidil Haram is the Kiblah from for people who are in the territory of the Holy Land, as well as the Holy Land Mecca is the Kiblah for all the Ummah in the eastern and the western regions.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Fatim Murshidah binti Azhar, and today I want to present about principles of celestial navigation. Celestial navigation is a technique for determining one's geographic position by the observation of identified stars, identified planets, the sun, and the moon. Its basic principles are a combination of rudimentary astronomical knowledge and spherical trigonometry. At any moment, some celestial body is at the zenith of any particular location of the Earth's surface. This location is called the ground position. GP can thus be stated in terms of celestial coordinates, with the declination of the celestial object equal to latitude and the Greenwich hour angle equal to longitude. Almanacs such as the published by the Nautical Almanac Office of the U.S. Naval Observatory provide these coordinates for the sun, moon, and planets or navigator stars. The tabulation are given in terms of Greenwich Civil Time. In principle, the line could be drawn on a very large sphere, but in practice a marketed chart or plotting sheet is used. The navigator then uses a sextant or bubble octant to measure the altitude of the celestial object and records this altitude using Greenwich Civil Time. The altitude and the bearing that the celestial object will have at this position are calculated or taken from tables. The date recording position is marked on the plotting sheet and a line drawn in the direction of the celestial object's calculated bearing. If you guys don't know what is the plotting sheet and sextant, here is some example of the plotting sheet and some example of the sextant. Okay, now we move to the skill for the Muslim man reading the sky to find the Kiblah. Okay, for the step 1 is locate Banat Nas Al-Kubra, the Big Dipper. The easiest way to find the North Star is by first finding the Big Dipper. This is one of the easiest constellations to find. Look for a large spoon-shaped constellation, 3 stars in the handle, 4 stars in the head, such as example in the picture. Okay, for the step 2 is trace a line to Al-Kiblah, the North Star. Imagine a line that connects the front 2 stars of the Big Dipper. If you follow that line, about 5 times the distance will be the North Star. It is the first bright star you will run into that's close to this vector. So you can see to the picture under this. Okay, for the step 3, trust but verify. You don't want to accidentally be praying in the wrong direction, so make sure that you are actually at the North Star. The North Star is part of the constellation the Muslim call Ar-Raqabah, or as we commonly know it, the Little Dipper. The North Star is the last star in the handle. The Little Dipper floats above the Big Dipper, as if it is pouring water into the Big Dipper. Such as example, you can look at the picture. Once you know where north is, finding the Kiblah is pretty easy. If you are in America, it is northeast, so face the North Star and it's half a turn to your right. Unfortunately, this only works in the North Hemisphere. If you are in Australia,
You can use your smartphone to find the Kiblah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Said Daniel bin Said Noor, and today I'm going to present about the traditional method of determining the Qiblah. There are three main traditional methods of determining the Qiblah. First, sundial. Second, the constellations. And third, help of three moves. Alright, first we will look at the sundial. What is a sundial? Sundial is a device that uses the sun to determine the time and the direction. It was widely used by the travelers and navigators to find the direction. We can use the sundial by knowing the formula that the sun rises from the east and sets in the west. You might wonder how the sundial device to determine the Qiblah. Alright, these are the few steps that can be followed to determine the Qiblah using the sundial. Alright, for this purpose, you will need a stick or any vertical hard object around 1 meter or 3 feet, and then place the stick vertically on the ground, which is properly leveled around 12 pm. And then, using the shadow of that stick, make a mark on the tip of its shadow, and then draw a line from the base of that stick to the mark tip. Next, make a circle using this mark, which will work as a radius for the circle. Now, as the day passes by, the shadow of the stick will move. It will gain length and shorten again. Once the shadow of the stick touches the circle again, mark that point. Now, connect the first mark with the second mark. The first mark is the west and the second mark is the east. When we find this, then we can find the Qiblah. This is an example of old sundial device used by the Istanbuls to find the Qiblah. As you can see, there is a vertical object, and this device will be put under the sun, and when the time comes, the shadow of the vertical object will show what prayer time it is, and the muazzin will start call for prayer. Alright, now we will look at the second traditional method of finding the Qiblah. And that is by looking at the constellations. What is constellations, you may ask? Constellation is a cluster of stars forming a shape. In finding the Qiblah, there are two main constellations that were used, which are the constellations Orion and Big or Small Dipper. Allah said in the Quran, Surah An-Nahl, verse 16, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وعلامات وبالنجم هم يهتدون. Also by landmarks and stars do people find their way. First, we will look at the constellation Orion. Constellation can be used as part of practicing ijtihad Qiblah. Constellation Orion, also known as Al-Babadur in the Islamic constellation name. How to find the Qiblah using the constellation Orion, you may ask? By referring at the picture, you can see that is an Orion constellation. And the way you can find the Qiblah is by looking at a row of 3 stars, or we call the belt of the Orion. These 3 stars are also known as Mintaka, Al-Nitak, and Al-Nilam. By looking at this row of 3 stars, you can find the direction of the Qiblah. This constellation can be used as the Qiblah direction for Malaysia and countries in the region. Right, next we will look at the second constellation, which is constellation Big Dipper. Big Dipper, also known as Banat Nash al-Kubra in the Islamic constellation name. There are 3 steps on finding the Qiblah using the Big Dipper. First, you need to search for a Big Dipper in the starry night skies. And then trace a line to Al-Qiblah, also known as the North Star. And last but not least, trust but verify. Alright, this is a visual representation on how you can use the Big Dipper to find the Qiblah. Alright, first you have to find the Big Dipper in the skies. Alright, when you have found the Big Dipper, you look at the end of the Big Dipper. Imagine a line that connects the front two stars of the Big Dipper. These two stars. Alright, and then you will follow the direction of these two stars about 5 times and you will find the North Star or the Al-Qiblah. The North Star is usually the first bright star that you will encounter that's close to the Big Dipper. And then you don't want to accidentally praying in the wrong direction, right? So you have to verify. The North Star is a part of the Small Dipper constellation, and it is located at the end of the Small Dipper, at the handle. So you can see to the left and verify that it is a Small Dipper constellation, and then you can start praying at the North Star. Okay, final traditional method of finding the Qiblah is help of tree moss. You can use this method by checking the trees around you. If there is a moss on either side of the tree, then it is certain that it is east and the opposite side is west. The dry side is the side that is always exposed to the heat from sunshine to sunset. This dry side also often feels warm when held at night. By knowing the direction of east and west, you can easily find the Qiblah.
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. My name is Nur Izzati binti Ismail. I'm the next presenter. Today, I will explain modern method determining of Qiblah. We have 3 modern method determining of Qiblah. Firstly, mathematical concept, which is can use concept trigonometry. Next, theodolite, can used by modern tools, used by surveyors and parties. Prismatic compass involve the use of a magnetic compass and gravity pointing nose. We know that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala created the sun and the moon, one of which is so that human beings on earth can know the calculation of time. Therefore, the problem of determining the time of prayer, the beginning of the month, the beginning of the year, and the direction of Qiblah accurately and precisely requires a lot of mathematical help. In addition, trigonometry can also calculate the time of prayer and help in determining the calendar of the Hijri calendar. And lastly, the Qiblah compass determines the direction of the Qiblah. Many Muslims in the Islamic religion use this Qiblah compass to determine the precise direction of Mecca for prayer 5 times each day. This compass has the standard 0 to 360 degree scale as well as the 0 to 400 scale. Both of these scales are used in conjunction with a table of major cities and their Qiblah codes for determination of the Qiblah. The Qiblah compass comes complete with an instruction booklet that contains a list of cities and a number associated with each city. Next, to know the direction of Qiblah is already a lot of tools. Can be through measurement, can also use a prayer rug that has a compass Qiblah direction that is widely used in mosques. However, the way of determining the direction of the Qiblah in the early stage using a very simple way. Then progress by using tools to measure it, among them trigonometry, the shadow of the sun, compass magnet, transparent compass, compass Qiblah, protractor, rubuk, mujayab, string or trick, stick istiwa, and water pass.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Sofwan bin Ahmadun, and today I'm gonna present to you the phenomenon of Istiwa ul Azam. For my matrix card number is 20206985 and 62. Okay, let's get started. Okay, what is Istiwa Azam actually? Istiwa al-Azam is a phenomenon where the position of the sun will be right above the Kaaba. The main istiwa, known as Istiwa Azam, is a state in which the sun will be right at the zenith point, or known as Ghaya, during istiwa. This event will happen twice times in a year, when the value of the angle of the sun istiwa, known as Mel Shams, is equal to local latitude value. This phenomenon occurs for states with latitude value less than the maximum angle of inclination of the sun by 23.5 degree. Okay, and the exact Qibla direction can also be obtained in the event of major istiwa azam. Okay, next, the phenomena can be used to check and determine the direction of Qibla from other places on the earth. According to the calculation, the event of the sun above the temple, or known as Kaaba, will take place every year. Firstly, on May 28th at 5:16 p.m. for Malaysian time, and July 16 at 5:28 p.m. Malaysian time. And for leap year, we can see from May 27 at 5:16 p.m. Malaysian time, and July 15 at 5:28 p.m. for Malaysian time. Okay. Next, during the Istiwa al-Azam, what we can do during the Istiwa al-Azam, and we want to try to measure the to measure, not to measure the Kaaba actually, to measure the Qibla. Oh, sorry. This is based on the Al-Quran inside the Surah Ar-Rahman verse 17 said, meaning He is Lord of the two east and the two west. The first second takes effect on May 20th, 5:16 p.m. for Malaysian time. At that moment, the sun is upright above the Kaaba. At the position of Zawal, the sun is upright in the middle of the sky at 12:16 minutes of the Mecca time, which mean in Mecca it will gonna be 12:16. For the in Malaysia it's gonna be 5:16 p.m. Okay, for the second applies to that July 16 at 5:28 p.m. Malaysian time. At the time the sun was upright above Kaaba at the position of Zawal. That is, the sun is upright in the middle of the sky at 12:28 p.m. noon time in Mecca. Okay, we can see the picture here where the sun is directly above the Kaaba, and we can see with just using a stick we can know the position of the Kaaba, the position of the Qibla. Sorry. Okay, Qibla direction guide during Istiwa al-Azam. What we can see in this picture, there is a two men that making a Qibla direction guide during the Istiwa al-Azam. You can see what the thing they are using, the stick. Okay. For the first step is put a pole in the area to be checked in the direction of the Qibla. Second, make sure the pole is upright and straight. You can check its rigidity with using any weight tied at the ends of the pole. And 3, the place you choose for this purpose should not be shielded from the radiation of the sun, which means we need to make sure the place is big enough and large and not shielded by the radiation of the sun. Otherwise, we cannot determine it perfectly 100%. Okay, and lastly, the resulting shadow or line will indicate the Qibla direction. Okay, this is the example of phenomenon Istiwa al-Azam in Malaysia. What we can see on the first picture is two men were standing measuring the direction of Qibla at the event of the Istiwa al-Azam using a stick, what we can see here. Okay, for the second picture, we can see a picture showing a lamppost at the event of the Istiwa al-Azam. We can see the shadow that determine the direction of the Qibla. And lastly, we can see a stick that being used to make a guidance of Qibla during the Istiwa al-Azam. Okay, that's all for me and my team. Thank you for lending All your ears. Thank you, everyone.
To summarize, there are various of methods to determine Qibla direction by practicing traditional method, mostly from the phenomenon of Istiwa Azam, where it is still a common practice by Muslim during their occurrence, as it is an easy astronomical method to determine the exact direction of prayers other than the application of modern technology. Nowadays, determining Qibla direction is not a difficulty, as various of alternatives are available, either with the requirement of internet connection or global positioning system GPS, or without the need of them. With the progressive development of modern technology shows the advent of computing, various mobile apps and websites use formula to calculate the Qibla for Muslim community to determine the Qibla direction whenever they want to perform their prayer, usually on several occasions, such as moving to a new house or even travel to foreign place.